tried to knock you out, they tried to kick you where it hurts, you got up, you kept going, that was in there.
I think they know the writing's on the wall. Maguire, Senior, back to Maguire, Gary Maguire leads! The young hero to win the grand final again!
Hi everybody, welcome to the Lot Pod, the Leeds Rhinos Lot 17A podcast, kindly sponsored by ACD&B, who are a branding and creative design agency based in Farsley, Leeds. They create standout brands, so for any companies out there that need a brand new logo or a brand refresh, just get in touch with ACD&B. This is the match review panel for Paul Whelan's wide bulging eyes versus the mighty Leeds Rhinos. Joining me as always, he is my co-host. He is my right-hand man, but he is our amazing stats man. Statman Reese.
I'm a stat.
Freeze.
Reese, how the devil are you?
I'm all right. I've had a very mixed birthday weekend, as in Leeds not playing that great on Friday. Me having a wedding on Friday, so I missed the game, so I had to rewatch the game knowing we played poorly on my birthday, which was great fun. So thanks very much, Leeds, for that. Got over the game and then realised I've got annoyed again. We got to talk about it. But Warrington have done me a favour and make me feel slightly better.
Should we just review Wakey versus Wallington again instead?
Let's just talk about Darryl Powell getting sacked and the sack.
Well, usually, as everyone will, or any regular listener to this, every regular viewer will know that when we do get beat, we do tend to
go off on secret tangents.
Rather than talk about the game, we tend to go like, why aren't we signed a halfback?
Yeah. Which we'll probably do today.
Which we'll probably do tonight. But I just noticed, listening back, I'm always like the whole KR, we were just like talking about lack of halfbacks and why we should have signed.
I mean, I turned up 30 minutes late.
Why aren't we coughing up £500,000 for Rycroft?
Yeah.
So we'll do a bit more of that. Who's joining us tonight?
We have got Phil, who went to the game. How are you, Phil?
I'm all right. I'm good, thank you. How are you two?
We're all right. We've got a list of halfbacks to talk about.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. I think we're in the market for a couple of them, aren't we?
We need at least two. So in usual Lot Pod fashion, Lot Pod style, very cliche of us, but we always start with positives. Phil, you went to the game, you poor sod. Any positives from Leeds from this?
I don't know. I think we played in fits and starts really. We seem to his defence scrambled quite well, and I do agree with what kind of like Rowan said after a couple of misreads in defence and that type of stuff which let us down. But I think positives for me were Reece Martin seems to be coming back into something like Sam Wissoni. He got some minutes under his belt and he just seems to get better week in week out. It was our attack really, I think, which let us down, which like you just touched on there. We need something else in that middle now. I think we've become a little bit predictable, but I think the positives, it's quite hard to pick out from it because there were not really what stood out, I suppose. It was a bit really frustrating. It wasn't the best, but Nene McDonald, he were positive at back. So between him, like I said, Lissoni and Reece Martin, they were sort of like positive things for me, really.
Yeah. Reece, positives?
I agree with Nene. I think Nene doesn't really have a bad game for us very rarely. And when we come to the stats, there'll be no surprise on Nene's figures, really. But I thought Nene was great. I thought Reece, I agree with Reece. I thought he played... Sorry, I agree about
You
Reece.
agree with yourself. That's a great point, me.
Yeah.
Yeah, Reece
well
never
made
does
myself.
anything wrong.
If I do say so myself.
Yeah. Work in HR, mate. That's how it works. I can't sack myself. Yeah, so I thought Reece was really, really good. And the one moment that I really enjoyed was Sam Walters going round Wellesby. I did quite enjoy that moment. Apart from that, but there's not really any other positives for me. Unfortunately, I think players that I usually shout about and players that I normally praise really highly were not great on Friday.
Just on that Sam Walters try, it was a great try, and he kind of ran past that little twat Jack Wellesby. I would have preferred it because there's clearly an enormous size difference between Sam Walters and Jack Wellesby. See, it was beautiful that he ran around him. I would have preferred it if it had ran towards Wellesby, grabbed him by the scruff of his neck like the Undertaker would, and just carried him over the try line with the ball. And then at the same time as he was going to score the try, just choke slam Wellesby while scoring. That would have been a much better.
And I could have had a new theme tune on the pod as well.
And then we could have got a bollocking from WWE instead of AC/DC for playing the Undertaker's theme tune. Yeah. I've got that written down.
It'd be good if he just ran straight over the top of him and just left his size 15 footprints all over his body.
Tire tracks all over him, yeah, absolutely. I've got for my positive, sorry. I've got the Walters try, I thought that would be beautiful. And then I've got the Austin pass to Hanley. Thought that were a nice straight backwards ball straight over to Hanley and patted it down. It definitely wasn't forward. So those are my positives. We speak of Wellesby. We'll kind of start there and jump in. I thought the defending for both of his tries, particularly the first try, was absolutely horrific. What do you mean?
I think it's worse for the second try.
I agree with Reece.
No, but the gap is enormous, and no one lays a finger on him for the second. We'll come to that in a minute. But the first one, there's the offload. I think Cammy's a bit near him, and then he goes through Tom Allroyd and Jared. Now, I know Jared tries his best. Absolutely does, and he's so close to stopping him. You are, Jared. But I felt, I hate Jack Wellesby, and everyone knows that. And I felt the size difference there. Someone should have stopped him.
He shouldn't have had an opportunity anyway, because he should. I can't remember who made the offload, but the offload was far too easy to make. So that's mistake number one.
I think it was
Caesar should have been wrapping that up, and he's the one that was in the wrap, and he let that ball get displayed. But then the reaction from the offload was the second thing that was poor. And that's why when Wellesby's going hell for leather with a low centre of gravity towards a try line and he's got to run up towards it, momentum was with him. I'm not sure we could have stopped him, to be honest, in that position. And I think it came from the offload and not reacting to the offload quick enough. I think O'Connor and Holroyd had a difficult job. Because if you look at the angle that Wellesby is, where he's 2-3 meters out of the line, it's very hard to get underneath someone in that position when they've got that low centre of gravity.
Yeah, and he knew what he had to do, didn't he, Wellesby? He could see him. He sort of like he picked his gap where he was going to go at, and he just braced himself for it, just to make himself as small as he possibly could. And there are players that are hard to keep up. That's far away from the line, but
it was preventable.
Whacked him harder. Yeah, preventable. Like you said, the things what led up to it, the offload, we'll let their attackers just jump across and play across the line, and then not us reacting to it.
Paul Ramsden says in the YouTube comments, we do stream these podcasts live, Bentley shooting out the line led to his second try. I mean, that gap that he ran into, and then no one, I think Myler may stroke him as he goes into score.
Again, it's the reaction again, but Bentley going out like that. If you're going to go out the line like that, you can't miss. You can't miss. And it's not even like he's gone 2 meters out of the line, has he?
No.
He must be about 5, 6, if not 10 meters maybe, but he's some way out of the line. The dog leg that creates. And, Wellesby just puts the afterburners on. But I think that's a bigger mistake, because it's just a really bad read and wasn't really needed in that situation or that scenario. I don't think. I felt that we'd have had them covered, and Phil was praising our sort of scramble defense as well. And I just think that if we had the line there, it just wasn't needed in that moment. And that ultimately Not that moment has cost us the game because that was the game-winning try. Because I think a number of things have cost us to lose the game, but I think
moments like that, aren't there? They've cost us just not being able to react to them.
Your game management in defence and attack. I think that was a really good example of the game management and defence that let us down. That's it, really. Next.
Yeah. See you next week, everybody.
Yeah. Leeds by 60. See ya.
I mean, the game management was poor in general, wasn't it?
Yeah,
it's a theme. It's a theme that's coming up. We have no idea what to do on 5th. No idea.
I mean, we did score when Nene went in the corner. That was the 5th. But I cannot understand. Well, first of all, before I start, because I am going to talk about Blake Austin, but first of all, I'm in a bad mood, and I'm unwell. I'm really unwell, so that's put me in a bad mood. But how can two halfbacks that have played together in the NRL, that I say they're best friends, they don't even look like they're from the same planet.
They don't even look as if they don't even speak together on the pitch. There's nothing. There's no direction from either one of them.
And yet, like Reece says, we get to 5th or we're building up to end of any set, and we haven't got a clue how. Now, I know we all say, I say, and some of us say, we like this, off the cuff rugby. You've still got to. There should still be a halfback, at least one of them, knowing how. If this doesn't go to plan, I need to kick this, and this is what I'm going to do. I mean, the complete lack of leadership in the end of sets, it's genuinely driving me mental.
I've seen quite a few comments online on I know we enjoy that chaotic sequence, but the chaotic sequence is now for me coming because we just don't have an idea what to do.
Perhaps, yeah.
And this season, it feels so bipolar in that we've seen moments when it's so great and moments when it's so bad. I feel bipolar in my reaction in that, after Huddersfield and our Warrington, when we're on a high, we're getting into the playoffs, it's happening again. And then we're brought back down on our feet heavily again. And I don't understand how it feels a bit with Austin and Caesar. When it's hot and it's working and things are working for them, they're brilliant. But when it gets tough, it starts going wrong. And Andrew's saying, with 10 minutes left, Austin blasting a kick out on the full, on the last. It's just shocking game management, isn't it? And
I cannot begin to tell you
how angry you got at that moment.
Absolutely blood boiling, furious I was with that gobshite when he kicked it straight into touch. Because let's be honest. How many times has he kicked it full into touch this year? 3?
It's
4?
been a few times.
It's becoming quite the trait for that gobshite. Carry on, sorry.
I think I'd finished.
Yeah. I think on what you're touching on there about we're a free-flowing rugby team out. We like to throw the ball around, everything else, and this, that, and the other. But it doesn't. When it looks good, it looks really good, and when it comes off and it pays off and everything else, it's like you said, we don't have that default to recognise when it's not being effective, to go back to some form of structure and that game management. So, like on a set, within a set, we'll try move ball left, right, everything else, not have nothing from it, but then as final play and to complete and finish the set, we just put a nothing kicking somewhere or whatever, or we turn ball over.
Yeah.
Not in a good field position. We put ourselves straight back under pressure again then by us not being able to recognise it. And, with Austin and Caesar in there, you're looking at them for some direction and to get your players and finish them sets and complete it and that game management, and we just don't have it.
I think, you've got to include Cammy in that as well. Cammy is a playmaker in that role that he plays.
Careful, Reece.
No, you've got to call people. I've got to be honest.
But he was part on Friday. He was really slow.
But again, is that because the spine aren't talking to each other? I don't know.
Yeah, but you could see that. Sorry, Reed. You could go on, mate. You could see that he was just really, really slow, and then when he will try to have a look what he had on outside of him, there were nothing, and because other people hadn't done their job, everything. And Cam got caught with ball quite a few times. It looked bad on him because like he's really really slow and he's not doing out or whatever, you know. But he had nothing on outside of him. Nothing created for him.
Yeah, I mean, even Joe was saying, we're talking about the fifth tackles, even the pass to McDonald hit the floor first. We only got a try because McDonald finished it really well. I think what concerns me about the game management in a structured attack, whether it's in the final 20, last 10 or on the fifth, is that there's a number of sides I've watched this year when they've got the ball, I'm shitting myself. Because the way they're moving, the dummy runners and how they're running with pace, and you can see the structure, and they're going crap. And there's two teams that I think are really good for that. And especially, it's really, and I've mainly felt it when I've watched a game from behind the post, and it's Lee and Salford. When they've got the ball in hand and they're shifting it left to right and with the dummy runners and the structure, it's dangerous and it's frightening. And I don't ever feel like we have, and it certainly didn't show again on Friday, sorry. I don't feel we're dangerous. And it's because, again, it comes down to the structure of who's controlling it. I don't know who was controlling it with those people on the pitch.
We've said previously that Blake Austin has played well without Aidan Caesar. Reece, you went to the Salford game where you were waxing lyrical about Aidan Caesar without Blake Austin. Are we talking about two halves here that simply cannot play together, Reece?
Well, they have in the NRL.
We just don't see it. We don't see it.
No.
And yet you play Caesar at Salford, and I think there was another game, played really well.
Yeah.
Austin, without Caesar, a couple of times this year, played really well. You put them together. I'm struggling to think of a game this year when they've played together and played well.
I think the Huddersfield game, obviously, they played well, but I think that's because Austin played very well and Caesar was kind of just a big part of it. And, I thought Austin was playing for a contract. I've been one to say, give him 2 years, just give him it. And then now I'm like, no. In my bipolar nature of being a Leeds Rhinos fan, I'm like,
the way he
no.
spoke about us recently, and he's fluttering his eyes and he's going on podcasts saying, "Oh, I'd love to play 14 in NRL."
That attitude, and then if you've got to carry that into a game and at least prove it, and then he bottled it, and
He did.
So, I know, and Paul's saying in the chat, if we're changing both halves, who we're going to get, and I know we've talked about this so many times. I am still worried about replacing two halves because I just don't think the market is there to replace two, and it's too early for Jack. Jack is 18; he needs more game time, and we know Caesar's going. For some reason, West Tigers have been watching a different Super League season to everyone else.
They just haven't been watching it. They think they're getting the 2016 version.
Yeah, so did we. So did we, full enough.
Yeah, we just topped up his pension pot, unfortunately, which is what we seem to do quite often.
So I feel quite despondent after this because I feel like after the results recently, the results that other teams are getting, it almost felt like the season was over on Friday, and it's not because we're only 4 points behind the playoffs. But for me, it just feels I feel a bit. I'm just really,
it just seems so disappointing.
Yeah, and the thing that disappoints me more than anything is that I don't feel that Rowan takes any accountability as a coach. In the press conferences, he talked about luck in there, and I would much rather, as I'll be honest, if we haven't played well, not to the way that Darren Panel's done it today, which basically says I'm doing everything right and the training pitch it's them, but there needs to be some accountability of we didn't play well enough.
Yeah.
And I don't think we have that. And we don't think we've been getting that. And that's probably the most disappointing thing to me because we haven't played good enough in games which we should have won. We're not losing games by a lot. We only need to improve little things collectively to be able to win these games. And I don't think now it might be different in the dressing room because we never see the sounds behind the game, do we? When we lose, funnily enough. No. But I'd love to see it because I would hope there's some accountability in that changing room. From either a captain, which we might not have, or a coach.
I think what's most disappointing about this defeat is that was a really crap Saints side out. They had a lot of players missing. We chasing the playoffs, and Reece makes a good point there and yourself, Phil, about when we lose games. And me and Reece kind of spoke about this week, and it's like we don't get beaten badly all the games we've lost, Cass, Wakey, Cass, Hull KR, they're all,
KR.
even the Saints games, they're all games where we've had chances, more than one chance, to put the game to bed and to win those games. And that, to me, is what's really driving me crazy. This was a very, very beatable St. Helens side. The game itself was incredibly poor quality for both sides.
From both teams.
And yet, Phil, we seem to be in all the games, apart from maybe one Warrington or something where we've been battered, might be another.
First game of season, wasn't it, that Warrington?
Yeah, in these games, but we don't seem to have the mentality to turn these into wins.
No, and that's what the really good and clinical teams do, don't they? Which is what we expect as Leeds Rhino fans from what we've been able to, the team we've been a bit of support for years, and the golden generation, all that type of stuff. And the games what we have lost, they're not games that the other team has come to win. It's we've lost it by our poor execution or poor decision making, or making them little mistakes, or not us having our halfbacks push us around the pitch. Going back to Blake and Caesar, they might have a great friendship and relationship off at pitch and everything else, but I just don't think their style of play complements the team's needs on the pitch. They don't seem to gel together or whatever. It's either one or the other. They're either really on it or they're not. And I know we spoke around it before. And I agree with Reece around Rowan and that and stuff. I had real reservations around him to start with, in terms of some of his press conferences and stuff, and sometimes he just seems to lack them ideas, and it's up to him as that coach to minimise that roller coaster, them peaks and troughs, and add some consistency from all your players across the board. And I think if we'd have done that, them games which we've lost by 2 points or whatever, like you said, the other teams haven't come and winning. We've actually given them, just by that poor decision making, okay, out of the week, 6-7 minutes out, we had a perfect opportunity to go for a drop ball and we didn't take it. Do you know what I mean? Just them little snap things that have changed our season round by quite a lot of things.
Even if you took half of those games that we've lost by a try or less, we would probably be in 4th or 5th.
Yeah. And we've had perfect opportunity to finish the games, haven't we? And we just haven't done it.
Yeah. Let's talk about where we should be.
It's Leeds Rhinos.
Championship.
Top 4. It should be top 4 without a doubt. Easy.
Do you have the stats for us, Reece?
I do. So only one player over 100 metres. You're probably not yet. There you go. Thank you. So Nene had 163 metres. We did have people close to that. Blake had 96. Aledzki had 96. Cameron Smith had 95. And I can't, I said Cammy didn't have a good game. He also tried. He had 24 carries, did Cam.
Wow.
So at least, is it 2 things? Should he be having the ball if he's not being effective, or is he holding on to it too much? Is that what the carries is telling me there? I'm not sure, but his average game was only 4, which kind of matches up a bit, I think.
But that's what I was saying. It looked bad on him, because every time he got the ball, he seemed to be getting caught with it and really slow with it, because there was just nothing on outside of him. So it was sort of like showing ball and having a little bump and this and other and all that, and there was just nothing there. Yeah, so it seemed, and even people in crowd going, he's really slow. What's he getting caught with ball for? Use it and stuff. But he actually did the right thing by holding on to the ball, because if he just passed it, there was nobody there anyway.
Yeah, that's right. Let's only have one negative comment about Cam today. I like that, Phil.
Pulled it around.
Yeah, we pulled it around. So yeah, Nene led the way with meters, and then tackles wise, it was Jared O'Connor with 44.
Good old Jared.
Bentley was next with 36, and then Cameron Smith had 32 in there. Holroyd was not far behind with 28 as well. The big stat that I want to pull out is the tackle bus. Do you want to take a guess at how many Nene got? How many tackle bus Nene had?
8.
Phil?
Do you know what? I think it might be. I think has he hit double figures, because he were quite.
11.
He were quite. Yeah.
11. Wow.
He did. Even from the kick chase and kick return, he were beating that first defender.
11. Oh my god.
Yeah. So 11 tackle bus. Blake had 7. Reece Martin had 6. So there was quite a few tackle busts in there.
11. Can't believe that.
Reece Martin had 2 clean breaks as well. So I think when we talk about the plays that did well, it shows Jared was credited with 3 errors, which is not like him at all. Aiden Caesar was also credited with 3 penalties conceded as well. So a bit low in the meter count. Tackles about suspected. Missed tackles wise, Cameron missed 7. James McDonald-Walters missed 4 apiece, and then Reece Martin missed 3 as well.
Those are the stats.
Yeah.
We've kind of spoken up just on Nene, because that is a positive. We've kind of spoken about him becoming a superstar. I think he is. I think without his strike, we'll lose.
Yeah, and I liked him on the wing, and then I didn't like him on the wing when things started going wrong. Yeah. I think he is better in centre. We're not going to have. I think Fussy failed his HIA, didn't he? So he's probably going to get pushed out on the wing next week, but he carries extremely well. My favourite thing about him and how he does the runs from dummy half. There was 4 of those on Friday again, and I just like that ability that I'm going to take this on and get us those meters. But as Ollie's saying, he is freakishly strong.
Yeah,
he's really hard to get down, and that showed from the try that he took as well. But he's one of the few players at the moment I can trust to create something from nothing.
Yeah, one of our few strike players.
Yeah, and that, like you said, when he's going from half back or he's on that kick return, if he gets half a break, he's either gonna punish you for 50, 60 metres, or he's going to be scoring. He is capable of doing that, and I think you look across our back line. There's not that many, I don't think, who would actually do that now. Or maybe him and Handley. That's probably about it.
Him doing that is where you have a certain player, Maguire, who would always be on the shoulder of a player like that.
Yeah. Let's just see if Danny wants to play.
I think Danny's probably enjoying himself going to Wembley and having a.
I'm going to say, he'll be shining his shoes to Wembley, won't he?
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah.
Let's just talk about Danny Maguire for half an hour.
That's twice now.
There has been a distinct lack of Danny Maguire on this podcast.
I'll put it down now.
I used to talk about him about 6 times a pod. I only apologise for that. On to St Helens. Kind of Paul Wellens kind of turned into an absolute midweek. Yeah, I felt Bellend with his press conference, which that's all covered and very well reported. But what about James Bell? What did you think of some of James Bell's tackling in this game, Reese?
I just feel like whatever we're going to say now, it's going to be quote tweeted on Red V later on, isn't it? Like, it's just going to be there. Whatever we do now, I'm just ready for this to be clipped and put out. Oh, Leeds fans are still moaning. Right. If it does, just going to put it out there. It didn't affect the result. But, yeah. The grass isn't greener, is it, at Saints?
No, it was shocking. The pitch was terrible.
It's horrific. The pitch was horrific. But, I'm not going to say they're the dirtiest side in the league. I know, Eddie, you probably want me to say that. But,
I'll say it.
They're as guilty as anyone else. There's footage of Passy doing it in the World Club Challenge at Penrith. He was defended Morgan Knowles when he's chicken winged someone, which is not an accidental sort of thing. He's genuinely tried to injure someone. John Asiata's technique, it probably does need to be looked at a little bit because there is a little bit of danger in there. But on the second one, I think with Passy in that game, what's he going to do? He's got someone running to him. He's going to use everything to try to do and stop. And it's a good tackle on the legs. James Bell was doing it. But you don't see him moaning about it. You don't see John Wilkin moaning about it. It doesn't get picked up. Yeah, all the footage again is Asiata doing it in the Wigan game. The grass ain't greener at Saints. They do it themselves. But my concern with this whole incident is because of how big it's been. I've got a bad feeling if the RFL don't address it sooner rather than later with something, it's going to grow arms and legs. And to be honest, I'm really fucking bored of it. Yeah. I was so bored of Saints last week. Just fucking get over it.
they've responded, haven't they, RFL, with just like a bog standard statement saying that, look, they take players' welfare seriously and all that type of stuff and things. And they've got, the match review panel which they look at stuff. But their own players were actually doing that technique on Friday more than just Bell. But, Conrad Earl did it 2 or 3 times when coming in on that third defender.
Can he get that low?
Yeah, well, I mean, he got some lovely hammer from the travelling supporters, which were quite fun.
Yeah, have you heard the song? What was it saying?
Yeah.
Hang on a minute. Someone put it in the chat.
It were about like 3 men went to pick up Conrad, 4 men, 3 men, 2 men couldn't pick up Conrad. He was brilliant in him. He just but he's ballooned again. He has ballooned again. But yeah, they were doing that. They were doing that same technique, but the pitch were probably in more danger of twisting someone's ankle and knee and that and stuff. It was absolutely diabolical to say, a Super League team and they're meant to be one of front runners and I hate it anyway. It's just an oval, is that ground.
Laurie just said it in the chat. They're just hypocrites with this, and it's just they've had it their own way. They've been in some of the seasons the best team, quite rightly so. And it's just like a typical spoiled brat child throwing the toys out of the pram and something doesn't go their way for once.
They're minging. They're absolutely disgusting.
I'd be interested to know, because in the rugby league community now, I feel like the last week, I think if there's anyone that everyone one team hates, I think at the moment it is probably Saints.
Everyone hates Saints. Everyone's hates.
It's just the way you've carried on. I know we all have a moan. We all have a moan. We had a moan about McDonnell when he got sent off, but we did it for a day, 2 days. We had a moan on this, and then it was done. And then,
I wouldn't even mind. They're winning things and all, and winning games. Look at us. Yeah. We've got something to moan about.
I am a bit gutted that we didn't. If we'd have won, obviously, that, and then whistling for that forward pass for the first try, I would have quite enjoyed the meltdown on Twitter afterwards. But yeah, it's not to be. But the hypocrites, and the problem is the way they've approached it is actually not going to do the game any benefit.
Like you said,
it's actually going to make it worse.
There's a right way and a wrong way to go around it, and Paul Whelan sat there with his own bargains toupee wig on, having a pop at every man and dog who'd listened to him at the RFL, and then the following week his own players go out and do the same thing.
It's not intention to injure; it's poor technique.
No.
Chicken winging someone, that's intention to injure, and defending him just puts him on a hypocritical moral low ground or whatever. Can we not talk about him? I hate him.
No.
It's just boring.
Can we talk about the referee, Liam Moore, because he was shocking. He was absolutely.
It's not cost us. I don't think it's cost us the result.
No, it hasn't cost us a result. But I mean, in terms of the game, I mean, did you see when who was it ran in? I forgot who it was now. Proper second row, Matty Lees or Noels ran in 15 metres, punched Tom Allroyd twice in the face to get involved when somebody caught someone had slapped McDonnell on the back, like a bit of an eye tackle type thing, and it was like a whip cracking around the ground, and they had a bit of a scuffle, and he ran 15 metres, got involved, threw 2 punches at Tom Allroyd, and it showed him connect on big screen. Liam Moore just went, yeah, play on, it's all right.
That's for the match review panel to sort, isn't it? That's for the match review panel to sort.
He ran 15 metres and then punched Tom Allroyd in the face twice, clear as day, and didn't even get a penalty. He said, just play it ball.
The only thing I thought Liam Moore got really wrong was towards the end of the penalty on Caesar, for the push as he was about to play the ball. I think there was about a minute or 30 seconds, however long left.
We can't do anything on fifth anyway, so it wouldn't change the game, would it?
He got that drastically wrong. That was not an error from Caesar. But I felt someone mentioned it in the comments earlier, just going back to Caesar, that he was just being petulant and gobbing off to the ref all game. And I know refs, they don't bend the rules, they don't cheat, but it does Caesar and Leeds Rhinos no favours at all if he's chirping all game and then kind of gets pushed at the play at the ball. Ref's just going to go, nah, you're done, mate. You've been chirping at me all day. You've lost that. You've knocked it on. That was, apart from that, I didn't particularly notice Liam Moore, but that decision at the end, I thought, no, he'd got that completely Wrong. Man of the match?
I hate picking it when we lose. But I think it's Nene for me.
Do you agree with that?
Yeah, Nene McDonald for me.
Nene McDonald for me as well. We were supposed to have a guest, but he's not quite here
We can preview
yet.
Lee, can't we?
So let's preview Lee. Unless we want to talk halfbacks.
Well, we have been linked with
I
Adam
know what to
Clune.
talk about.
We've been linked with Adam Clune.
Yes, Adam Clune's been linked, which to me is on our transfer special. Reese, it's probably. I think he might be the one halfback we didn't mention.
And what does that tell you? And what does that tell you?
That one, but I think he's about 28-year-old. You know, kind of 20 to 30 caps in the NRL. Linked with Hull. He's not going to choose Hull if we're linked with him because everybody would choose Leeds over Hull. Do you think Clune is that? Do you think that's a
I'm
good
just taking a
sign,
moment to
potentially?
appreciate Andrew's comment of saying, knowing Gary Hevington, he'll sign Martin Clunes. Fully appreciate that.
It's just read my mind because I was just going to say something. You know,
That's brilliant. I don't know. It feels like we're scraping. This probably just reflects my mood on Rhinos at the moment. Feels like we're scraping the barrel a bit. I'm not saying Adam's the bottom of the barrel, but this is what the 4th, 5th halfback now we've probably been linked with.
But if it's a case of
it annoys me that we should
or Clune. Clunes.
What? Who's the other one? That's only one halfback, isn't it? So look, if it's an
Micah
option,
Lewis.
I'm not like NRL experienced, 28. He's only really been in NRL since 2020, hasn't he? But he's got 43 appearances now. Probably a bit more actually. It can't be a bad option. He's probably better than what else is on the market, but it does just feel. It annoys me because look at Wigan. Wigan are probably the shining lights of the recruitment market so far this year. But yeah, I don't.
Be interesting to see their accounts.
I'm just not at the point. I don't care really at the moment. Just sign someone, please.
Do you agree with that, Phil?
Not Martin
Clune's
Clunes.
any good?
I don't really know much about him, to be honest. But we are desperate for some new blood and some new ideas and creativity within them areas. We'll lead with Luke Brooks, won't we? Did you see his touch finding kick other day in IRL? It went 15 yards backwards. So he kicked a touch from a penalty, ended up going back 15 metres or whatever. But yeah, I don't. Again, we expect that we should be able to attract all these world quality and world class halfbacks. But for the past couple of seasons and how we're playing now, are we still that attractive club to somebody from NRL wanting to come over here? I'm not too sure.
Oh God, what an incredibly depressive pod.
Sorry. Well, that's how we feel. Sorry for anyone that's driving to work tomorrow morning listening to this and going, God, this is a depressing start to the week. But yeah,
it's all these Rhinos' fault though, Reese, isn't it? It's not ours, it's theirs.
Put us in a bad mood.
Correct. I tried to make myself feel better by playing Rugby League Live 4, but then I got spanked on that as well. So,
you probably paid about 60 quid for that.
Let's not talk about that.
Can you transfer some of your budget across to us so we can sign some halfbacks?
Might have to, yeah.
Moving on to something completely different. We're now going to talk about Bradford Bulls. Bradford Bulls versus Barrow Raiders. A game tomorrow as we record this Monday night that the Bradford Bulls have put on to honour baby Rycroft Foster, who sadly lost his life last month. Joining us now to tell us all about it is Rycroft's father and big friend of the podcast, Andrew Foster. Andrew?
Hello. How you doing?
How are you?
Not bad. Just a very rainy Blythe services. We're driving up tonight. So for anyone who doesn't know, I live down in Essex near Colchester these days. And at one point it was just going to be me coming up for this game, but everything snowballed a bit. So There's my daughter Lyra is there enjoying herself watching Zog on her on her tablet. Catherine's just in getting a cup of tea at the services, and thought I'd just take a minute talk to you guys, which really appreciate.
No, thank you very much for coming on. Tell us about the game, Andrew. How did this come about? How did this happen?
Well, the Bulls fans initially suggested it, said it'd be really nice to pay a tribute to Rycroft in the 16th minute of the next match, which was up at Whitehaven, and then they wanted to do it at the next home match, and then Jason Hurst, the CEO of Bradford Bulls, got in contact, said whatever we can do to make it as good an event as possible, we will, and that's what's happened. Bulls have been really good. They put out stuff on the website about encouraging people to come, recognising Rycroft, recognising the fact we've just been blown away by the response of the rugby league community. We put that initial fundraiser on with a target of £3,000, and we've passed £40,000 now.
Wow!
And it's stunning. So we're just really excited about it. We, obviously it's been an incredibly tough period of time. Yeah. Rycroft had a genetic condition, so we always knew, like even from before he was born, that things would be tough. Then it was diagnosed after 3 weeks, and then even after that point, he was very unlucky. The condition he's got, most kids who go on and develop bone marrow problems, that's in their teens or their 20s. And Rycroft was very unfortunate, and we knew that he would have to have a bone marrow transplant before he had his first birthday. So we want, obviously it's desperately unfair and sad, and we want to take, it clearly, it just really upsets people, and it creates a lot of what can I do energy, and we want to use this opportunity to turn that what can I do energy into something positive. So that's raising the funds and also getting people aware of the fact that we need more people on the bone marrow register.
Yes, of course, yeah.
Germany, so there are, and this is per head, so obviously there's more people in Germany, full stop, but per head there are 3 times as many people on the German bone marrow register as there is on all the British ones. Wow. Which means, so Rycroft's initial bone marrow donor was going to be German, and the nurse actually said to us, "Oh, is the donor German?" And we were like, "Yeah," and she said, "Yeah, well, they're always German." So that raises questions about what we can do as a country to better support, not just children, anyone who needs, bone marrow transplant for whatever reason, and it's. You talk about sort of consolation. You couldn't get better consolation than the thought that Rycroft's life, short as it was, might lead to some other kids and some other people going home healthy and happy from hospital where they wouldn't have done otherwise. That's what it's about.
Yeah, need to raise more awareness. And you are imploring Leeds fans, Yorkshire fans, any to get down tomorrow to the game.
Yeah, so I'd love to see, I said it before, one of the great joys of going down for a game at Wembley, you'd stop off at the services like we are now, and you'd see all the different shirts and, all the polyester would be crackling in the queue to KFC, like static electricity in the air. And that's what I know, it'd be lovely to see, if we get just a couple of Leeds fans, just a couple of Halifax fans, Batley fans, Fev fans, if you're the only person from your club who comes along, that's brilliant. Wear your shirt, wear, it being Odsall, wear your Mac, with you, but, just come along, come find, I'll be pretty conspicuous, come say hello, and hopefully we'll be doing something that is a really, it's worth it for its own sake. We want to commemorate Rycroft. He was a really special little boy, and I think it's entirely, just because he had a short life doesn't mean that he should be forgotten. We want to celebrate him.
Yes.
And then also, can we do something that's going to really help in a practical way other children like him, other people like him? And I think we can. I'm sure we can.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. And if people want to donate, Andrew, how can they donate?
Easiest way is just come on my, on Twitter, I'm on Andrew Foster 101, and you'll very quickly find a link to the Just Giving page. If you have any problems, just drop me a message. I'll send you it. It's justgiving.com/crowdfunding/remembering-Rycroft. But if you can't be bothered typing all that in, just find Andrew Foster 101 and you'll find it pretty fast. And yeah, I mean, that sort of thing. I mean, you might have seen Derek Beaumont just chucked in £1,000, didn't he?
Yeah.
Derek Beaumont chucked £1,000 in. She's incredible. Cambridge University Rugby League Club put £100 in,
Wow.
which is, like that's a lot of beer money for those guys. And they, and it's fantastic of them to say, no, show that recognition and put it to a good cause. So there is the fundraising element, but I think what we're going to be segueing into more and more is this idea of, can we get people to at least consider going on the bone marrow register,
yes.
at least consider, because that's something that anyone can do. We know it's tough times for a lot of people, but anyone can potentially get on that register, and the more of us who get on it, the better outcomes will be for all sorts of people who really need it.
If people just Google British Bone Marrow Register, so it's BBMR, it should come up on Google quite easy for that. I just had a quick look myself. So
would implore people to look into that. Just to finish off, Andrew, thanks for coming on. Good luck tomorrow, and we wish you all the best with everything.
Yeah.
We do have to talk about the Bulls, I'm afraid. How do you see their season going and ending this year?
Well, this is so I said I think it's sort of season's coming to the sort of business end, and where it looked at one point that Fev and Toulouse were vulnerable. Now they don't look very vulnerable. Fev are going to come top by a distance and probably going to be able to treat the back end of the season as a warm up to the playoffs. Toulouse look very likely to come second now, and that means that any team that's going to come past them will have to go to France to do that. And I guess Bradford are competing for that best of the rest slot. They, at the start of the season, we looked patchy across our 17, and now we've ended up with sort of serviceable players who generally know what they're doing, like from 1 to 17, and so they've had that. They've had a good run of wins. Be interesting. It's going to be really. Sorry, Lyra's chipping in. I think that'll be an interesting question. Who's the best of the rest? And can they then go on to give Fev or Toulouse any bother in the semi-final? Maybe. We'll see.
We'll see. Andrew, thank you very much for joining us. We wish you all the best with
brilliant
all your fundraising efforts, and everyone. I do implore you to look into the bone marrow as well. Take care. Thanks a lot.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Wow. Very powerful moment on the Lock Pod there. Would implore everyone as well to head down to Odsal tomorrow as we record this, Monday the 31st, Bradford versus Barrow. Get yourself down there and show your support for Rycroft and Andrew and all of his family. Thanks again to Andrew for coming on to give that a push. On to Lee. That's who the Rhinos play next, and this is how we will finish this match review panel. Squad changes. Phil's back with us, by the way. Any changes to the squad for this one for you, Phil?
I'd like to see Alroyd back into starting 13. He was on bench, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Fussy Tua. Obviously, McDonald will probably drop into one wing. That one on there. So it depends who we're going to bring in. I know Lewis Roberts was down in squad on Friday, so we like
a return of
man or whatever. Oh God, no! Come on, we're not got to that stage yet, have we?
We're not there yet.
But yeah, I am sort of like seeing what sort of, what injuries we've got or what we've got available. Really, but I think the ones one we'll probably say about all the time. He always likes to seem to rotate his forwards, doesn't he? And we don't seem to carry that extra back. So it'd be interesting who he sees he puts on one wing. But I think you're right. What Reece said earlier. I think McDonald drop onto a wing, and then maybe it's easy for us to fill that centre gap rather than a specialised winger. But I can't really foresee too many other changes, if I'm honest.
Is it time for Jackson Field, Reece? Is this a Jackson Field game?
No, I don't think so. I think there's a lot of pressure mounting on him at the moment. He's in the fact that the halves aren't performing. His surname, the expectation that he's got the 3-year deal early this year. Jack is still 18. He's still learning the game. I don't think this is the right opportunity for him to come in. So no, I'd keep the half. Unfortunately, I'd have to keep the halves the same as they are. I don't think we've got another option. And likewise, I don't think we've got another option at centre with McDonald moving to the wing. Suppose it's a lesser of what's the lesser of two evils? Having Tyndall or Alfords on the wing, or having McDonald on a wing with Lewis Roberts at centre. And at the moment, I'm not quite sure what's the worst, the better of the two options. I don't think either of them sound that good.
They don't, but I'd keep Nene at centre.
I'd keep tempted to put Tyndall.
And have Tyndall on the wing, because I'm a big fan of kind of especially how we've been playing this year, keeping circle pegs and circle holes and rather than pushing.
The worrying thing is that the fact that we've lost potentially one player, and the players what we're talking about are just nowhere near the calibre to fill them.
No,
you've got Newman. Newman's out as well.
So, Max Simpson.
Yeah.
Max Simpson. So that we are getting down in the census. But I say this probably after every loss, but Lee I'm imagining they will play a weaker team. They've got the Challenge Cup the week after. I mean, but equally they got thumped at Catalan. So would they want to play a strong side to get the form back?
Yeah,
I think the fact they got thumped by Catalan, I think they won't play as weak a team as they originally probably would have.
No, they'll want to try and build a bit of momentum, won't they?
I think they'll want to keep the wheels turning. I think.
Yeah.
I'm envisioning a full strength Lee side, me.
Yeah, and Leah, not a bad side.
They're not.
Play good rugby.
Yeah. So
I'm expecting. I don't think. I know there's a couple of questions in the chat about it. I don't think Lee will play. I think there'll be some changes for them, but I don't think it will be a full change in preparation for the Challenge Cup final. I think they'll need to put a good side out to get their momentum back after a quite a heavy loss on Saturday.
In terms of the squad, I do think this is a Jackson Field game. I think this is a game where you drop him in, give him a game, win, lose or draw, and say, right, that's your game. Because if not this game, then when?
I think you're in dreamland. I just don't think Rowan's going to do. No, there's dreamland and delusion. There's dreamland and delusion land. I don't think this is delusion land.
Are they not the same?
No, they're very different.
They don't go hand in hand.
No, sometimes they do. Sometimes there's a little parallel universe where they cross, but at this point, I don't think so. I think you might like that. I think the expectation of Rowan doing that is very, very minimal.
Oh, I don't expect him to do it. No.
No.
But I would. But then again, I'd have played him half of the games this year. Phil, thanks as always. Reece, thanks as always. We'll finish off with predictions for Lee versus Leeds. Phil, how do you see this one going?
I think we need to bounce back massively. We owe it to ourselves and everybody, supporters, everyone involved with the club recently, just to have a good performance back at Headingley. And again, the Lee side, that's going to be up in there. They're going to put a full strength squad out. Are they going to play a weakened team? Are they going to protect somebody? But either or, it's about our performance. But I think we need to bounce back. I think we should have a victory 24-10.
Lovely. Reece?
He's checking his head.
I don't know how I can predict a win, but
but he's gonna.
I have to, just annoyingly.
Wembley fever.
I'm going to go 20 points to 16 to the Rhinos. And for Cam to bounce back.
Cam to score.
I said bounce back, but yeah, with a try. There we go.
With a try. I'm going to say Leeds Rhinos 34, Lee Leopards 4. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Thanks again to Phil, as always. Thanks again to Reese. We will be back to review Lee versus Leeds. Take care, everyone. See you next time.